But what if the tax authorities knew in real time what exactly you are doing? And they can do that if the invoices you didn't report, but they have the access to the same invoice data, for example. And that can be easily done if the invoice is coming in electronic format. Electronic here mean not digital, but real electronic. And that's an XML.
Hey Sid, how are you?
Hello, Jimmy. I'm fine. How about you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very good. Been enjoying obviously a fair few open text events in the last week or so, and having open text here in London for the Open Text World Tour was excellent.
Yeah, I could imagine there were a few interesting tidbits you picked up and latest happening
Yeah,
from Open Text.
so much to go through, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more content around it. Um, we'll be probably putting some stuff out around some of the AI pieces that we learn about there. Some of our really good partner conversations as well, and hopefully we'll have some of those partners coming in and doing a few conversations with us. So that should be quite exciting.
Very
Um,
exciting. Very exciting.
yeah. So today I wanted to talk to you today about we recently had put something out about continuous transaction controls, which I think a lot of people are aware of, but maybe not really understanding the full ecosystem of e-invoicing, continuous transaction controls, how it all fits together. And I thought it'd be good maybe if I could ask you a few questions as someone who's been working on that with clients recently, um, to just get to the bottom of where this has kind of come from and why it's important and what the opportunities for people are. We've You see a lot of people talking about the fact that there are so many problems with moving goalposts when it comes to e-invoicing mandates and tax. Um, but I don't see that many people talking about the opportunities, and I kind of want to. There must be some, right? I'm figuring that's the case. Is that the case?
Yeah, I mean, just at the outset, right? It's not like I am working on this recently or this is new. I have been actually working on this topic in the last 20 years. Now, where we are sitting in Europe, this has certainly become the talk of the day. And there are still parts of the world where this is nowhere in radar, and there are parts of the world where this has existed since 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
So depending on where you're looking at it. So what exactly it is and what is it that and why is it becoming so interesting, right? That's the core question really you're asking.
Yes.
I mean, at the heart of it, right? A business when they run is very simple. You procure goods and services, you convert those goods and services to more valuable output, and you sell those output, right? So there's a cost, there is your additional work to make that product or service, and then you have a revenue. In the whole supply chain process, money is flowing. And at each step of this process, when you procure or you sell, in every country of the world, we are to pay a tax to the government, a VAT, as we call in Europe, GST in other countries, and so on.
Yeah.
Now, how has it worked? You have said that, okay, I am a business. In this last month, I procured X amount of money or X amount of goods. And then you collect all that information and report it to the tax authorities, saying, my liability to you is this. And same you do for your sales invoice, saying, I'm selling this much amount, out of which 25% VAT I will report. So it's the organization reporting to the tax office, and tax office have to then check your documents and audit to make sure that you are not hiding anything. So that was the case, right? And then in every organization there was always a month end reporting and a year end reporting where you close the books and prepare all these reports. So this has been a reactionary, uh, let's say, exercise. But what if the tax authorities knew in real time what exactly you are doing? And they can do that if the invoices you didn't report, but they have the access to the same invoice data, for example. And that can be easily done if the invoice is coming in electronic format. Electronic here mean not digital, but real electronic. And that's an XML. Some of the very first countries that did e-invoicing was in late 90s, early 2000, were Latin American countries. Brazil being
Yeah.
a very good example. And obviously, those countries who thought they can gain more by getting control of the VAT reporting did it first compared to others. So this started in Latin America. That's why I'm saying about 25 years ago. So they have been the four, let's say, runners around it. Coming to Europe, it actually started with Italy.
Okay.
And that came out of a EU directive, which is mandating this EU wide. And that's why we see a lot of European countries hooking up and going around it. This is also caught up in other parts of the world, like Far East and Asia, etc. But it's not so much in North America yet. So if you look at the North American market, it's not a big topic yet because, yeah, depending on which geography you are in, that's very important. In Europe, it is very hot today. That's because it's coming from the EU directive, and it has been always there in Brazil, and is quite mature compared to many places in Europe that we are trying to do. So that's really the push, right? Is coming from the regulatory offices because there's big money involved here, right? We're talking literally in like billions and billions of euros, right? Much big money involved here. That yeah, that's why it's becoming important.
And so there's a couple of things I'd like to ask about that. And please forgive me for the fact that I'm no expert in this field by any stretch. I don't think that will come as a major shock to most people that are marketing specialists isn't that aware of the history of electronic invoicing. But I've been in conversations where people have said, oh well, we got PDFs electronically before. That's e-invoicing, right? And it's kind of facetious in a way, but we know that's not true. But do the costs outweigh the benefits then? Because if it's not taking off in the USA, um, is that the case? What were the benefits that Brazil saw, or that we saw in Italy?
I think we need to differentiate between continuous transaction controls based e-invoicing versus electronic data processing.
Yeah,
Now, for a long time, we also had EDI connections, right? For a very long time. So systems talking to each other based on some standards called, for example, EDIFACT standards, long before the XMLs became standard. So that's how information has been exchanged, but they were point to point, right? You have a system, I have a system, we agree on a format, and we exchange information between these two networks on a agreed format.
yeah,
Compared to a paper-based, where it's on paper, so it has to be either read by a human and typed in, or when things advanced, you digitized it to a PDF, for example, or a TIFF file, ran it through OCR, and get the information out, digitized it. Or you had the EDIFACT format carrying it in from one system to the other. Obviously, when you are carrying it electronically in the pure EDIFACT format, you eliminate the need of manual intervention anywhere, including OCR. So that's electronic data exchange. The continuous transaction control is built on similar technology because that's the easily exchangeable format. You have to standardize a format so that everyone has the access to the same format, and then data can be exchanged interoperately. But still, there's a difference. It doesn't work on a point-to-point concept. So you and me cannot agree on one network, but that's only works for you and me. So the exchange highway is different from how it was before. Coming back to your question, PDF is an electronic format, and that is how you have digitized your information from a pure manual based. Now that is gaining traction in various parts of the world based on automation, right? No one wants to, at least with volume, right, type in manually. And you look at smarter ways how you can get data into your system, but that's not the same for the continuous controls. And there is where we have a differentiation. And more importantly, even if you have a electronic data setup, doesn't mean that you are geared up for continuous transaction controls.
Yeah, that's come up a bit, hasn't it, when discussing with clients? Because I feel like the story that's being told is around electronic invoicing and is maybe missing this extra part, which forms, it's a tiny that is a tiny part of continuous transaction controls. So, oh, is everyone getting the right story, or
I mean, two things are happening, right? The world is changing on different levels, both business wise, geopolitical, as well as technologically, at such a fast pace that people are bombarded with a lot of new information, a lot of new things.
yeah,
So, environment is changing. On top of that, then you have the specifics coming in, riding on legal requirements or mandatory legal requirements. And that, of course, and the pace in which in Europe it is happening right now overloads a lot of people, right? Or a lot of organizations which have limited resources. So, in a way, they're firefighting, and they're firefighting with what they already have. And the closest to what they have is some kind of EDI connection, and that's what they want to write it on. So say, okay, there's a new XML coming in. Can I somehow plug it into what I already have? Yeah, that's the most common firefighting way, if I may call it, right, happening. Compared to some organizations who actually take a step back and try to get the big picture and say, okay, can I make it scalable? Right? I can plug it here today, plug it there tomorrow, but can I plug it in 15 different places over the next 2 years?
yeah,
So there's a different, again, we cannot paint everyone with the same brush, but if you're a small organization or having businesses in 2, 3 countries, maybe the firefighting approach will work. You don't need to build the whole shebang.
Thanks very much for watching. If you'd like to see more from us, check out other content on our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on social media, or you can visit us at www.turnpikes.pro. Feel free to subscribe to get upcoming notifications of our new content, and we look forward to seeing you very soon.